everyone, I'm Patel from Department of Pharmaceutical Technology, LJ Institute of Pharmacy. Welcome you all in this online learning session. Pharma Ignite is the YouTube channel of LJ Institute of Pharmacy. It is an initiative of our college to give more and more pharmaceutical knowledge to our beloved students. So please follow and subscribe our channel. Let us start our today's session. Today's session we will start with the new chapter under the subject industrial pharmacy, that is pilot plant scale-up techniques. In this particular session, I will give you the detailed idea and introductory concept regarding this particular chapter. So if I talk about the introductory points for this chapter, I can divide it into the different segments. So we'll talk likewise in that particular manner. So the very first point, if I say about this chapter, you have two words over here. One, that is pilot scale, and second one, that is scale up. So to simplify it, you can see onto the screen that what is the journey of any kind of pharmaceutical product when it comes into the commercial market. So I would say that right from its birthplace to the commercial execution, it has to pass through the various stages. So I can say that the very first point you can see from the research and development, it goes to somewhat higher scale, that is called pilot scale. Then after, different kind of statistical studies are applied to get the quality assured product. It comes under the scale-up techniques. And finally, after representation of all regular batches, it will be ready for the large scale production. So if you go to the next point, we'll have some detailed ideas regarding that. I can say that two major differences between the pilot scale and second, that is the scale-up technique. So how we can understand that base point? The very simple point I can say about the pilot scale. Pilot scale manufactures drug product by a procedure which is fully representative of the manufacturing scale, which gives the proper execution of a pharmaceutical product. But when you have a thought of this scale-up technique, you can say that over here with the different output volumes, we have to go for increasing the process variables, and we have to get those results, and finally we are going to interpret them for the quality check of a product. So I can say that pilot scale is the basic technique which represents the manufacturing scale drug product, where in scale-up techniques we have to deal with the different variables for different outputs for a particular product. In that case, I can also tell you a simple example. Suppose to be, if you are making any kind of a tablet, so right from the research and development, right from the lab techniques, from 10 tablets to the 100, 100 to the 1000, 1000 to 10,000, and 10,000 to 1 lakh. That means if you go from 10,000 to 1 lakh, there are a lot of processing variables in our different unit operations. Just for example, I can say simple point of mixing. If you take a mixing for particular tableting process, what number of mixing time is required, that we have to identify. So it comes under the scale-up techniques. If you are preparing 10,000 tablet, what should be the mixing time? If you are preparing 10,000 tablets with the higher scale, with go increasing value of 1 lakh tablet, so what would be the mixing time? So in a simple case, we have to evaluate this all time durations, speed with statistical design, and for that the scale-up techniques are applied. Now in the next point you can see this, the base point over here you can identify what is the need of this pilot scale, why it is required. So I can say that, as you can see onto the screen, different kind of studies like bench studies, clinical studies with respect to the quality of product, purity, product characterization, we have to perform this pilot scale study. I can say that one of the very interesting point we can note down over here, that is we can increase the knowledge of the product. How? Because if you go for this kind of a scale up technique, you will have to face a lot of problem, just like the pitfalls and with the manufacturing scale concept, different processing problems, packing problems, installation problems that you are going to resolve day by day on an experimental basis, so that you will realize the importance of pilot scale over there. So at the ultimate stage, I can say that this pilot scale facilitates the transfer of product from laboratory to the production. So this one is the basic need of pilot scale. Now moving forward to the next point, that is why scale up techniques. Why scale up techniques are required. So you can see that onto the screen one flow chart is available over here. From that flow chart, a very first point you can identify that a well-defined process is available. That means well-defined process will execute perfect product, but it may gets fail into the quality assurance test, when scale up is going to be there. So I would say that because processes are scale dependent, if you varies the quantity of material, obviously it will lead to the quality of final product. So in that case, we need to go for checking of each and every scale with its evaluation characteristics of the product. So at the same time, I can say that scale up is necessary to determine the effect of product quality. So after that, you will have a basic idea. Previously, we discussed about what is the importance of pilot scale, and now we are saying that what is the importance of this scale up technique. So ultimately, in a nutshell, we can say that to determine the effect on product quality, we can go for this option. Now moving forward to the next point, that is objectives of the scale up techniques. What are the different objectives? How we have to perform, and what is the moral to perform this kind of scale up techniques? So I have divided into 5 different types. You can see onto the screen. First one, that is formulation related. Second option, that is equipment related. Third one, documentation. Fourth one, production and process related. And finally, that is particularly product related component. So one by one, I can tell you the simple examples. If I talk about the formulation, means by which formula you are supposed to produce your final product. But what is the concentration of ingredient? How it is going to affect when the scale up techniques are going to be there? That all points we need to take care. And that is the moral of the story. We have to make sure regarding the quality assurance. So we have to identify the critical components of our product formula, and that is much useful for the scale up techniques. Second thing, for any kind of equipment, if I took the simple example of a drying equipment, suppose you have to dry your simple granules, but in quantity of 10,000 tablet, in the quantity of 1 lakh tablet, what would be the difference? What should be the temperature? For what amount of time the exposure should be there? So it says that identification of critical parameters and its operating procedure is to be there and perfectly evaluate. The next point, that is documentation. I can say that documentation is a wonder concept of pharmaceutical industry. As we can say that about to the GMP, that is called CGMP, current good manufacturing practices. In the term of pharmacy, I would say one simple thing: write what you do. Once again, I am repeating, write what you do means records and reports. How to prepare these scale-up reports, how to record them. Ultimately, these are the objective techniques behind the performance of this scale-up studies. Then process and production related with aspect to the product value, validation parameters, we have to evaluate different validations and finalization of the process. Finally, after the study of all this component, we can go for our master formula, which will give a perfect reproductions value and reproducibility into the manufacturing scale of our product. So what is the need to examine the formula? What is the need to examine the formula? So there are different processing factors. You can see, I have mentioned it. Is your product is able to withstand with the batch scale? What is it able to carry out the modification? Market requirement. What about the market requirement? What about the cost factor? The product for which you are supposed to use the raw material, is it available properly with a proper concentration? That means all these different kind of factors are associated with the final product. So that's why over here I can say formula to determine formula for the quality product. We have to take care regarding these all factors. Finally, you see, scale up improves a lot of thing in our formulation and our final product. I can say that first you can see that is it should monitor the process adequately. That means if you are going to have a scale up techniques with a very good nature, you will have adequate monitoring process. Then after, with respect to the specific assurance, that means to provide assurance that the process is under control. Whatever process is running, that is going to produce quality product, nothing else. Simply it says that whatever process you are going to follow for the manufacturing of product, it will give a finally quality assured product. And we can say that the attributes which are desired, which are already needed, is going to cover with this scale up techniques. So this was all about the basic introductory topics regarding the pilot plant and scale up technique. So conclusion points of this session like this: meaning of pilot scale, meaning of scale up techniques, what is the need of pilot scale and scale up techniques, objectives for the performance, objectives for the performance technical point of view. In next session we will start with the details of this chapter. Till then, stay connected with us, stay engaged, stay curious, and don't forget to subscribe our channel if you like our session, that is Pharma Ignite. Thank you very much.